Hey guys, on today's episode of Our Sake, we're going to be talking about how mental health is represented in films and TV. Hope you enjoy.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Dharma.
I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about how mental health is shown in TV and whether we think it's poorly or positively, and
Generally what happens in TV shows. And we've got a few films.
Yeah. So firstly, we are going to give you some facts and statistics on mental health because, it's a big problem worldwide that doesn't get spoken about enough, in my opinion, and just something more needs to be done, even though we have the power to do more, but we're not, and that is a problem. So firstly, 450 million people worldwide have a mental health problem. That's 1 in 4 people who will experience a mental health problem at some point in their life. A lot of people who do experience, though, can live happily with their condition or get past their condition and go on to live a happy life, which is really good.
Yeah, always good to know you can carry on after the struggle.
Yeah. And, although so many people are affected by mental health problems, there is still such a strong social stigma attached to mental health. And, people with mental health problems can experience discrimination in all aspects of their lives. Many people's conditions are actually made worse by these stigmas and discriminations that they experience, from society, but also from their family and friends and employees that don't fully understand. Because, you never really fully understand unless you've been through it yourself.
Exactly.
A lot of things in TV aren't shown accurately, or, a lot of TV shows show people with mental health conditions as violent, literally general mental, crazy.
Yeah, they have the crazy look about them, which is always unfortunate.
And the truth is that people with mental health problems are actually, in fact, more at risk of feeling like they're being attacked or harming themselves than they are at harming other people. And the stigmas and discriminations can also worsen someone's mental health problems. They can delay someone from getting help, and it sounds really stupid, delay someone from getting help. But, a week can make a difference, a month can make a difference, a day can make a difference.
Exactly. Honestly, it depends how severe they are. If it's anything, it can get really, really bad within hours.
Yeah. Nearly 9 out of 10 people say that have a mental health problem say that the stigma and discrimination that they receive have a negative effect on their lives. People with mental health issues find daily things that everyone else does a really big challenge. It's not easy for them to find work. It's not easy for them to be in a steady long-term relationship. It's not easy for them to live in decent housing. And, just being socially included in the world around them is difficult.
It's really sad because people with these issues need that feeling of community, otherwise they will feel like there is no hope, which can then lead to downward spirals, and that really needs to change in today's society. And I don't think what the media portrays it as helps them at all with that, because when you see someone with mental health issues on a TV show or on a film, it's either they're thrown out because they're different, or it's so dramatised, they're so pulled in by it that it needs extra help all the time. Mm-hmm. And just there's no in between where you feel like you belong.
Yeah. Going from that often in TV and films, although we're mainly covering TV, the information regarding mental health conditions and illness it's just inaccurate, and it creates a false picture of what a mental health illness actually is. People are fed stereotypes this person has that, this person has to do that, this person can't be social, they're really awkward in social situations, or stuff like that. That it's very stereotypical, and it believes that that's what people think is true. And, some, they're not wrong. Some people do have that, but just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you have something visibly wrong with you that people can say, they have an issue. When in fact, a lot of things on TV are based on misunderstandings than the truth. These stereotypes lead to stigmas, which, like we said before, has a really harmful effect on many individuals due to the following reasons. It can discourage people from getting help they need. They see something on TV and they say, well, I'm not that bad. That's not, they have the condition I do. I'm not like that. I don't need help. It can promote discrimination in the workplace, school, or any social situation, which basically means, people watch it on TV and say, well, actually, this person doesn't need special treatment, or this person does need special treatment, or this person can't do that because that person with a condition can. And it's just like, it needs to change. You know, it can cause isolation because people
definitely.
are scared. You know, if they see something on TV like, oh no, is that what people are going to react to when they find out, you know, I've got this and that? You know, it can negatively impact just the people around you, like your friends and your family and your people at work and any relationships you have with them. Because the second they find out or see it on TV or something like that, they're like, oh, that's not what I want to be around, and things like that. You know, it can create a view on mental health problems from outsiders that isn't positive. They'll see it as, well, that person has that condition, I don't want to be near them. You know, that's just wrong. And it damages people's self-image and their courage to do things because, like we've said again, it just puts them down on themselves, which is not good. You know, so many people have mental health issues, and it's still so negative in the media and through TV and film that we need to make a big change.
Yeah, people get scared of asking for help because they see on these TV shows, oh, I'm not that bad, I'm not a severe case, no one will help me, no one will want to know about what's wrong with me. And it starts to put them off. And from that, it can start getting really bad for them because they are so scared that they'll be sent to a horrible, horrible place where doctors will beat you up or something. And it's such a Victorian ideal that people would be put in places like that nowadays. And it really seems wrong that the media still says, oh yes, if you have this problem, you're bad, you should be sent away, you should be locked up. But you shouldn't.
Yeah, definitely.
And people shouldn't still be feeling like that.
There are so many common misrepresentations of mental health illness, like, in media. Like,
Definitely.
There's so many of them. Here's just something I can think of, you know, that people are violent. You go, like I said earlier, they're more of a danger to themselves than they are to others. Just because some people are violent, you know, there are some conditions that make people violent, doesn't mean they are. You know, they can look different. Again, that is not true. There are so many people out there that you don't even know have mental health issues. Like, it doesn't make you look any different. It just makes you feel different. You aren't different, but you feel different. You know, mental health disorders are all the same, and they are all extreme. That is not the case. There are far different levels of conditions. You know, because you've got anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, borderline personality disorder, PTSD, and things like that. You know, just because someone has it doesn't mean they're crazy or they're really extreme. You know, someone can have anxiety, and it just means that they can't be out in public, or it just means that they don't like dogs. Or it just means they can't go on public transport. Doesn't mean they get anxious at everything, where some people do. Or it's like when you have PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. Just because you have it doesn't mean you're going to freak out at the list of things. It could literally be someone drops a plate and that, you know, that flashes you back into a memory of something that you don't want to remember, something traumatic that's happened to you. Just because one person reacts to something, so say you, like I said, you dropped a plate, doesn't mean another person will. It's something that triggers you in your head, and it's like with bipolar and all the other conditions. Just because someone has it doesn't mean that person, like someone else that has it, is going to be the same.
And the thing they do in the media is they put it into like a little box and say, oh, so because you have this, you will also have this, this and this, because they're all the same thing apparently. But as people, we know they're completely different. So I think that really needs to change as well, because there is so much of, you're in this box, so you should be pushed aside because you have everything wrong with you.
Yeah. I think one of the things that really annoys me with TV shows is when they show someone to have a mental health condition. They either do it where the person has it for like a week or like a month, goes through treatment, and then, they're magically cured, you know. Yeah. Or they never get over it, that there is never going to be a recovery. You know, it's not the truth. If they do recover, it's only temporary. So like if someone went to rehab, it's only temporary and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's not. And this creates just such an inaccuracy. It makes people think that there's no hope. So if someone with a mental health condition is watching it, it makes them think that there's no hope. And this can really dishearten someone. And, you know, many people recover completely and can live productive, happy and healthy lives. And it's just they need to show it more accurately, because otherwise people, although we're leading it into the point now where we're talking more about mental health, we're doing it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I'd rather it be we didn't talk about it at all than we talk about it in the wrong way. You know, and another thing that's very similar from that is, you know, mental hospitals are evil. And, you know, we've come a long way since just the 18th century, when you got locked up for like the most simplest of things.
Like a woman wanting to have her own views was locked up for insanity.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
You know, and like in a lot of films they show, you know, where you're in your restraints, you've got really extreme treatments like ice baths, electric therapy and stuff like that. That is not the case now. Like, you know, we have medications, we have therapies, we have therapists, we have group sessions, and, you know, like the basic things. And just because you go into hospital doesn't mean that you're crazy. It just means you're not coping and you need that extra support. And that is what, if that's what you have to do to get better, that is what you have to do to get better.
Exactly. So if you're actually going to hospital, that means you're willing to admit that you need help as well as someone else saying, oh yes, I will help you. So I think we need to get past the point of, oh, if you have a mental health issue, you need to be locked up and be thrown away, and you are basically becoming rubbish that's going to be thrown around, because you're not. You are still a human being. You're still someone who needs help from the people around them, and you shouldn't feel like you have to hide yourself away from the world for being different from everyone else, because differences are what make you as a person and make your personality. You may not always like them, but they are so important to make you.
Definitely, yeah, 100%.
So people shouldn't be scared of those things.
Yeah. Going on from that, obviously we've got examples of how, like, we see that mental health's been portrayed through TV shows and stuff, more specifically characters. But before we go on to that, we did focus groups in our class, and we asked 5 open-end questions just to see the responses we could get, and it was actually really useful. Like, I didn't expect it to be as good as it was.
Oh no, I didn't think people would be as open to it.
I mean, a lot of the responses we got were the same, but what they told us, even though it was the same, obviously showed that something needs to change. Because, the first question that we asked was, how do you think mental health is shown in TV? Which is quite a broad question, so I was expecting to get quite a few different replies. But a lot of the things we got were, quite poorly, it's too dramatic, there's no middle ground. It's either someone has the slightest condition or they're full-blown in a frantic, manic state.
Yeah.
It showed, like someone said, someone never has a single condition. It's always, they have multiple conditions, so it's always, they get diagnosed with this, and then they have that, and they have that on top. And that's not, I'm not saying that's not realistic, because that does happen, but it's not the case in every mental health issue. It's not a case, normally you have 1 or 2 together, because they go together, they don't go together, but it's normally how it works.
Yeah. Like,
if you have one, you're more likely to get this one as well. It's not the case in everything. And I think that is one thing that definitely needs to change, because it scares people. It's like, well, I have this. Am I going to get that now? Have I got that as well? And it's not helpful. It alienates people.
Oh, definitely.
It 100% alienates people. It shows people that with mental health conditions aren't normal.
Well, sometimes it can, because it alienates them so much, people can feel like they're not human enough, because they are different, and they are having maybe 1 or 2 different conditions assigned to them by the world, even if they don't actually have those things.
Yeah. I mean, some of the other sponsors we got then were, it's better than it was, which I agree 100%, it is better than it was, because, 10, 20 years ago, you'd never really speak about stuff like this. And although we may be speaking about it in the wrong way, it's a step forward than it was.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that's good. It undermines people. They're showing it in the wrong way, which obviously we've spoken about quite a lot. And again, someone said it's dramatic. And this one really shocked me. And it's not until they said it I went, actually, you're so true. They said it depends what platform you're watching on. Because, you've got TV, you've got Netflix, you've got BBC
really
iPlayer,
true.
you've got YouTube, you've got on the internet. And it really is true, because like, obviously with TV you have to be more careful, like, what you show.
Yeah.
Because
there's so many guidelines.
There's so many guidelines because it's more accessible to, like, kids and other generations of people and stuff like that. Whereas on the internet, you know, you're not going to be hitting that until you're a certain age. Because
because it's become such a technological generation at the minute, the internet is available to, like, 2-year-olds. They're already on there. And because although people, like, the companies like to say, oh yeah, we have so many security measures, they really don't. And they don't have any way to block certain things. They have no way to stop people from seeing everything.
Yeah. But no, that one, like, it's not until they said it I went, do you know what, you're so true. Like, that is so accurate. Because, you know, Netflix has programmes like 13 Reasons Why that you would never, ever see on TV.
You'd never be, like, because of all the legalities of it, you'd never be able to show that to the world.
I mean, other people said, like, these two kind of link in to the logical extreme and over the top. Because, like I said earlier, it is either a case of they have it and you don't notice it, or they're full-blown crazy in a frantic state, you know. It's not realistic. 100% is not realistic. Some shows are better than others.
Yeah.
You know, it's inaccurate. It's too much.
Yeah.
Like, although we're talking about it, it tends to be too in your face because, you know, it gets revealed. This person has a condition. Bam! It's now them in hospital and it's them dealing with it and stuff like that, which is so true. And someone said this, and this is, like, really, it doesn't hit home, but it is that type of thing.
Yeah.
Not everything has a happy ending.
No, but, like, because it has to work for the TV show and everything has to be a miracle for the show to carry on, they can't show the unhappy endings, which can be really frustrating for people. Yeah.
Even if, I think people would rather get, like, show something happening if it was, like, in, like, 2 episodes they summed up a season, than not see something happen at all.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's how it works. Okay, and then the second question that we asked was, how do you think mental health is shown in TV affects the way people that view mental health in general? Which I think was a very important question to ask, because just because we're showing it in TV doesn't mean people aren't or are more aware. You know, and we got some interesting responses here. We got quite different responses here. This wasn't the case of everyone was saying the same thing, which I thought was quite good.
Spread out.
People said it makes people look upon it wrongly. It might put people off from getting help. It makes people panic, which is so true, like we kind of mentioned earlier. It confuses people, which I understand why.
Yeah, because, like, if you're someone who has a family member or has a friend or you know someone who has this issue, then you can see it on TV and go, wait, no, that's not right. But is it? Am I thinking the wrong thing with my friend and seeing the real thing on TV? People don't understand the difference between fact and fiction, and it can be a really big issue.
Yeah. See, going from this, like, obviously, like I said, we got mixed responses. It does make people more aware because, you know, like I said, 10, 20 years ago, you weren't really speaking about this, and now we are. So it's making people more aware. And although things might not be accurate, it does make people actually think, oh, I need to be more careful, I need to be more aware of people around me. Because, you know, you never know who's got what. You never know what, like, it's like don't judge a book by its cover, because you never know what's in the inside.
No.
You never know what a person's been through. It's shown, the way it's shown can be better, 100%. I agree with that. Like, definitely.
Oh, definitely. Like, there's so much misrepresentation and romanticising it. So people think, oh, they have it, it looks cool, I want it. And it's a really big issue for younger people who are that impressionable.
It's making it more acceptable.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that, because it is. And although people still don't agree with it, like, oh, you're just putting labels on a person, it's still, again, being more spoken about because it's more accepted by people. You know, if I were, like, you know, 10, 20, 30 years ago, if you went home and told your mum, oh, I've been diagnosed with that, you could be kicked out because they don't want you.
They don't understand.
They don't understand. But now, because we're talking about it, more people do. Obviously, I'm not saying those things don't happen, because they do. But, you know, you've just got to think about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
It's spoke about more in general, going off that. because people are seeing it on TV and they're actually saying, like, it's because it's more accepted, I can speak about this.
Yeah, definitely.
And although people can speak about it in, like, the wrong way, they're still speaking about it, which I think is important.
Yeah. People need to understand. I think we're much more open society now. We're ready to talk about things that in the past we've been so scared to talk about. We've locked it away in our houses and said, no, you can never see the light of day. Stuff like that.
So the third question we asked was, do you think that mental health is spoken about enough? Which we've kind of spoken about quite a lot. And no, it's not in depth, or it's too dramatised, it's not realistic, which I think I 100% agree with. Because if it's too dramatised, people are going to, like, then look at people who actually do have these problems and be like, well, you don't have it because you're not like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why it needs to be more realistic. And this one was really 100% accurate. Talking about things doesn't make them go away. It helps, but it does not make them go away.
Yeah, there's like, I don't know if it's someone that said on there, it was in the research we were doing, it said that on a lot of TV shows, people will have an episode, they'll talk to someone and they'll magically be better. Yeah. And it's so untrue.
It doesn't work like that at all. Yeah.
No.
It's like someone else said that it's spoken about more than it used to be. It's affected by society.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it is grown because it's more accepted. You know, it's sometimes spoken about too much though, which again I agree with.
Yeah, because I think some people are like, they want to talk about it so much they start shoving it in people's faces.
Yeah.
And that's when people are like, well, actually, we don't care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that can start becoming an issue. So although we want it to be talked about more, too much can really become an issue and really start affecting the way we see it.
Yeah. And then this one was quite accurate, I think, because this person said, it's not spoken about enough in TV and films because I don't know any examples. They couldn't think of any examples. And if you couldn't think of any examples off the top of your head, it's not shown enough.
Clearly not.
So I think that one was really good. And then, obviously, we asked, what do you think needs to change about the way mental health is portrayed in TV? Now, this one was I was expecting to get a lot of, not backlash, but a lot of, just like, it needs to be this, it needs to be that. It's like, whoa, guys, we're not changing it, but...
We are not TV companies, sorry, we can't do anything.
But it's quite stigmatised and that needs to change, like we said earlier.
Yeah.
Like, just because the one person has this doesn't mean the other person has that. And, yeah. It needs to be improved, which, we've spoken about a lot. It is more acceptable, but it still could be more accepted. But I think, and I don't want to say it, like, in the wrong way, I don't want to get it taken out of term.
Yeah.
But, there is still a generation who grew up with this, and it was wrong to have a mental health condition.
Yeah.
And we are slowly phasing those people out. And I think it's only when they're gone that it's gonna truly something good is gonna happen.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a really bad way. Like, I'm listening and I'm like, this sounds really bad. But I don't mean it in a bad way.
I get what you mean. Like, you're trying to say we need to get rid of that ideal that people have grown up with, saying that if you have a mental health issue, then according to society, you're wrong.
Yeah.
So we just need to get rid of that ideal and then stuff can change.
Yeah, definitely. I think, overall, most people agree that mental health in general is either spoken about not enough or too much, and it's too in your face. Because, you never want it too in your face. And, especially when it comes to TV, it's only spoken about enough, or it really is in your face, and you don't want that. There's no in between, which needs to change. People agree that mental health is shown too dramatically and it's not realistic, which, is so true, and it is too dramatic. Just because, and I don't want to say this, I'm sounding really harsh, but just because someone, self-harms doesn't mean we all want to see it.
No.
I get why they show it, but
if they start showing it too much, then...
Not everyone needs to or wants to see that, Cause just because someone's watching it, and they do give warnings about it.
Yeah. Well, when they originally released, because we're talking about 13 Reasons Why, apparently when they originally released the series, they didn't put any warning and they just showed it, which I think was really wrong, because that can really deeply affect people, and it did cause a real issue after that series first came out, because younger people are thinking, oh, I saw that on TV, I can try it, there'll be no repercussions.
Yeah.
So there was a massive surge of self-harming and suicide from that TV show,
Yeah.
which just wasn't right.
Mm. I think going from all of this, you know, it needs to be shown in a less dramatic way, needs to be more accurate, and it needs to be less obvious.
Yeah.
Because, like I said earlier, just because someone has a mental health condition doesn't mean you can see it. Like, you know, you could walk down past 20 people in the street and they could all be suffering from something. You don't know what people have gone through or what people are going through. And I think that is something that people just need to get their head around, because it really does annoy me.
Well, now comes the segment where we actually talk about the TV and films we've been leading up to. So I thought I'd start more with the main one we found for, like, adults, and it's more of an all generation thing, which was the Big Bang Theory, because
Gotta love Big Bang.
Yeah, gotta love Big Bang Theory, but there is a lot of issues with the ways they portray their characters, which can cause a big uproar.
I think it depends what point of view you're looking from it as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because, like, they're showing it, which I think is a good thing, but then they're showing it poorly, which I think is a bad thing.
Yeah. And, like, so in Big Bang Theory, everyone knows that Sheldon has some sort of condition, and no one's quite sure if it's Asperger's or autism. There's another one that's not written down. And they think it's OCD as well. Just found it. So when people see these, they automatically say, because you have Asperger's, you're going to always say what you think, and you're always going to, because you have autism, you're always going to stick to a specific routine because you are so strict on your life, and if anything falls out, you can't live, you can't cope. And that's a dramatization of it, and it really makes this show, it kind of makes it fall apart, because they're so stuck on that stigma. They make fun of it, and although it is something funny, to have it as a constant thing, they've released their 13th season of it, I believe. It's going to be the final one, so it's 13 years of making fun of this illness. And, like, as much as it can be funny for a period, I don't think it should have carried on as a joke that long.
Definitely, because one of the things that they keep reiterating throughout it, which I think is more for humour than anything else, but, like, you know, it's alright for 1 or 2 times, but when they keep doing it, it's kind of like, well, actually, are you trying to take the mick of this? They keep getting Sheldon to say, because, you know, people are making fun of him, and he's like, I'm not crazy, my mother had me tested. And it's like, okay then, like, yeah, sure, go with that. Yeah,
which, like, I get where they're coming from saying, I'm not crazy, because I think they're trying to pull apart the fact that if you had any of these illnesses before, you would have been called crazy. And he's saying he's not actually crazy, it's just he has a problem, but no one wants to acknowledge it that much. And that can cause an issue if you're watching it from the outside and you think, oh, because my friend has autism, I can make fun of it because it was on TV.
Yeah, it's like...
And it's not right.
It's like, I've recently been watching some of the Big Bang Theory. You know, partially for research and partially because it's the Big Bang Theory. And, like, they use the word weird a lot. Like, oh, Sheldon's my weird roommate, my special roommate. He's like having a child. Yeah. And it's like, yes, okay, that can be true, but it's not something you want to advertise to the world, because then they're going to see it as, oh, well, my friend's like this and that's what I'm going to do. And it's just, no, don't do that. So they're hitting it from the right angle in the terms of, you know, characters are representing mental health conditions and issues. But they're going about it in such a wrong way.
People have recently started to pick up on the fact that you can tell that Leonard was abused as a child by his mother because he feels so neglected. But they don't pick up on how that's actually affected the rest of his life, because he's happy to live with Sheldon, who bosses him around and can verbally start abusing him. And he never picks up on that and says, no, this isn't right. Which isn't something you should be making light of on TV, because abuse is abuse, and you shouldn't make as many jokes as they do about it, which comes across as wrong to me. I don't know if it's different for other people, but that's how I see it.
It's like, when I first started watching a show, I was like, oh, this is really good, and it's not until we've actually looked into this more that I'm like, do you know what? This is not good.
Something really wrong going on here.
Something really wrong.
Another issue they show, well, I don't know if it's something you can read into, that is Penny has possible depression, because you see her at the start, it's more at the start than coming near the end.
Yeah.
She broke up with her boyfriend, so she's really distressed about that, and she starts really hanging out with people she would never hang out with before. She's got no other friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then the alcohol comes into it, so it's a constant consumption of alcohol, which turns into alcoholism, and that's how a lot of people cope with depression.
Yeah.
They try and mask it.
And, she's not happy in the job that she originally started off as. She wants to be an actor. And at first you see her like, oh yeah, I'm just doing this and then I can be an actor. And then she gets a shot at being an actor and it's actually like, this is harder than you think.
Yeah, she starts to go on a downhill slope to kind of
100%
look upon life. Also, when you see Sheldon, he can't detect as many social cues. So people think, oh right, that's autism straight away. No ifs or buts about it. If you have autism, you cannot detect social cues, you cannot be out and have a social life, and it's not true.
It's not true. Put it this way, I don't have any diagnosed issues. I wouldn't say I've not got a condition. I still struggle with things. I don't like big crowds. I don't like being out in public. I don't like socialising with people because I'm not good at it. Throw me in a room with brand new people, I will awkwardly and quietly sit in the corner because I just can't put myself out there. Just doesn't mean I have autism. Doesn't mean I have a condition. It's just who I am.
Yeah, the
thing I need to do is I need to push myself from my comfort zone.
But some people aren't comfortable with that.
Exactly.
So you can't stick a label on someone just because they act a certain way.
Yeah.
Which is something that I think this show really highlights.
Yeah.
And something that they can't progress on from, but the producers of it can progress on from it and start creating more shows that kind of have more of I don't know how to put it, a linear structure of how this issue would actually affect someone.
Yeah.
But that's my thoughts on Big Bang Theory. So next I wanted to go into more shows and films, because we're going to go into the Disney world, but not yet. Woohoo! Is more aimed at younger children, so you can get the idea of what it's actually meant to be.
Yeah, sorry guys, we may be about to ruin a few good films, aka Frozen.
Yeah. But before that, I wanted to talk about Sesame Street, because that is a film aimed at toddlers mainly, because it's a learning program.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2017, I believe, they added a new character called Julia, who is a 4-year-old, and she had autism.
Okay.
So they obviously show that, and there is one moment where Big Bird goes over to Elmo and says, I said hi to Julia and she didn't look up at me. What's going on? Does she not like me?
Okay.
And Elmo turns around and goes, no, she likes you. She has autism, so she doesn't process it as fast.
Alright, okay.
So she can struggle with some social cues. And I was like, that's really good to be teaching 4-year-olds.
I mean, pretty much all the shows we're talking about here, we have both seen, except this one. I have never, ever in my life watched an episode of Sesame Street. So what you're telling me is all new to me. So that's really good to get an opinion in that way.
Yeah.
So carry on.
Well, I haven't watched it in like a million years because I am a dinosaur. And Sesame Street does always touch on really important things. So I think them starting to bring in like mental health awareness is a really big thing for them to do, especially for their target audience.
Yeah, because I think the earlier kids learn, the more likely they are to actually just be like, oh, this kid has autism. Alright, like, what's the big deal? It's not
normalise it.
It's normalising it. So I think that's really important. Because, the earlier people learn about this, the better it's going to be. Because, if you grow up to be an adult and you've not dealt with any of this, it can be a bit of a shock to the system. Whereas if you grew up with it when you're a kid, who cares? Like, not who cares, but who cares? If that makes
a big issue. It's not such a big issue because you're not so sensitive to seeing someone like that.
Yeah.
And it's really not important anymore.
definitely, yeah.
But that was my view on Sesame Street. So I can't give much more of a review because I haven't watched it in years. I am not still a child, I promise. So the next thing we wanted to move on to, which is actually entering the land of Disney, is Winnie the Pooh. So everyone knows, it's been going around for ages, that each character represents a different mental health issue.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, when you said Winnie the Pooh, all I can think about is it's a song that I heard in some TV show, and it's like, Winnie the Pooh didn't know what to do. He got a honey just stuck on his nose. Sorry, that's all I can think about.
Different. I've never heard that, I have to say.
I'll have to show you it later.
Yeah. Anyway, back on track.
My bad.
No problem. So we've kind of got a couple of lists of what people think that they can represent. So
yeah, thanks for ruining Winnie. Well, when we went into looking at this, Winnie the Pooh has been ruined for me because I never really noticed it, and it's not until someone says, well, this person's got that and that person's got that, I'm like, oh my god, they do! And, like, Winnie the Pooh's now ruined for me. Well, not ruined for me.
Yeah.
But, you know, just, yeah.
You can't look at it the
You'll
same way.
understand once I let Jess actually tell you what conditions they
Well,
have.
it's quite funny because our teacher had the same reaction as well.
I was like, wait, what? Oh my god! So, yeah, I'll actually let Jess talk now.
So, it can be seen that Pooh Bear actually has an eating disorder, which is clear. He's always eating honey. He always needs more. It's never a stopping point. And it can also be seen he has impulsivity issues. I think that's how you say it. Because he'll just do something without ever thinking about it, which can become a big issue if you're somewhere dangerous and you suddenly decide, oh, I'm going to step out into the road. It can be really dangerous.
I'm sorry, but this is just summing up my life. Like, Winnie the Pooh is me. Oh, I'm the human Winnie the Pooh.
You're a silly old bear. And well, yeah, Winnie the Pooh is like, he is the main character, but he doesn't hold the deepest connection. Yeah. I would say that Eeyore holds the deepest set-in issue because everyone knows he has depression. But the way that they deal with it is amazing on this show because it doesn't matter that he's always sad. The characters always do everything they possibly can to make him happy and include him in some way.
They're not just putting him aside like, oh, he has depression, we're not going to use him and stuff like that. They're actually including him, which I think is really good.
And they use his depression to kind of form his character, and they make films around it. Yeah. Like, there is a moment where Tigger is trying to make Eeyore happy, so he puts a spring on his tail and where they're trying to find his actual tail, and he just bounces around with him. It's really little things like that can really help people with depression because you're including them.
All it takes with any mental health condition, especially depression, when it gets to such a crucial point in your life, is for someone to turn around to you and say, oh, well, the weather's crappy today, or the weather's nice today, isn't it? That is all it takes to save a life. And mean, I'm taking this from the railway advert, but it literally all it takes. And I don't know if you've seen that railway advert. Basically, they have got someone talking over the intercom. It's about a story. It's like, we're sorry for your delay today. It's, you know, an incident's happened, and they start, and it's a girl reading it, and it's like, a young girl by the name of, you know, yada yada, took her life today by jumping in front of the train. Or something like that, or an incident happened, contemplate doing it. But I'm happy to announce, you know, that she survived, and like I know this because I am, you know, her name. And then because of that, it then goes to the platform where it's focusing on the passengers, and you know, you see someone a bit like looking like, oh, you know, maybe they're going to do something, and someone notices it, and they go over to them, sit down by them, and it says, are you okay? And that is all it takes to save a life. And I mean, heck, I am not good with talking to new people. I'm not good at talking to friends, let alone new people. But after seeing that advert, you know, if I saw someone who looked a bit suspicious in the fact that they look like, you know, they're at a train station, they're at a road, they're on a bridge, and they look like they're in pain, they're hurting, all it takes is to go up to them and say, are you okay? Can I listen? Because you don't have to know them. You just need to know. You just need to show them. Because even if they don't know you, you just need to show them that someone's listening. It might be too late. Like, you know, why wasn't anyone listening before? That doesn't matter. All that matters is someone's listening now. And that advert always gets to me.
Yeah.
It's such a good advert. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what rail line it is. I think...
No idea. I can't say I've seen it.
But if you go check it out, you'll find it on YouTube. You know, just look it up. It's such a good advert that really gets its message across, which I think is really important.
Well, yeah, it's definitely important. Like, you need more like that in the world of how to help people if you see that they are struggling.
100%, yeah.
Which is just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, all you need to do is, you don't even have to say, are you okay? That it's just communicating with them when they feel like they've lost all sense of hope. So even just saying, hello, that's it. Start a conversation.
Or, you know, the weather's really crappy today. I'm just going off that because we live in Britain.
Yeah.
But, you know, the weather's really terrible today, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all it takes.
Or are you waiting for the train? It just takes that person to get engaged with you.
Exactly.
To save a life.
Exactly it.
God, we went a bit deep there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I was like, oh my God.
Going in the fields. That's all you need on a Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Shall we carry on?
Yeah, let's carry on. Let's try and get past that a little bit.
Well, I'm going to roll on from that one of Piglet has anxiety.
Piglet.
Yeah.
Piglet, man.
But as much as people try and help, I sometimes feel like they don't help in the right way.
Yeah.
Because they just turn around to him and say, oh, don't be scared. Like, that's not how it works. If you have anxiety, you can't just flip a switch and suddenly, oh my gosh, I'm okay.
Going off that, it's like telling someone who's angry to calm down. That's just going to make you even more angry. Yeah. So telling someone who's scared not to be scared, it's just going to make them worse.
It's going to make them worse.
It's not going to help.
Then it's going to make them angry that you're not paying attention to them properly.
Yeah.
So that can be really wrong for them. So that portrays a wrong image, I feel, to people.
Yeah.
Who else is there? Tigger. Let's go for Tigger because
we need a bit of cheering up.
But he has ADHD, and that's really apparent.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't sit still for like less than a second. Less than 5 seconds.
I think if Tigger had a song, it would be, Jump Around? Where it's like, jump around, jump around.
He does have a song though, man.
Yeah, but like
I know.
to go with his activity, like, you know, to ruin it, Jess.
You're welcome.
What can I say except you're welcome? Going off Disney here, guys.
Oh yeah.
Disney is amazing.
But they do things wrong.
Yeah. But so does everyone.
Let's just
throw that out there. Disney, we love you. You're amazing.
Yeah. We just have to analyse
You have your flaws as well, though. But everyone does.
Yeah.
But we love you. Just the same.
Well, I think the last two I would go for are Rabbit and Owl. So Rabbit has OCD because everything has to be perfect. He gets angry if someone messes anything up, which is the extreme scale.
Yep.
Because if you went really low on the scale or like mid scale, you would never notice it.
Yep.
So that can get really frustrating for people who actually have OCD because they know, oh, I have it, but I'm not like that. Why are you saying that I should be like that?
Yeah, definitely.
And especially if it's children and they're watching and they think, oh, I've been diagnosed with that, but why am I not exactly like that? Why do I not have to have everything in the specific place, do it exactly as it is? And if someone messes it up, I'm going to start freaking out because it's not like that.
Yeah.
And finally, on the Winnie the Pooh scale, we have Owl, who, according to this, has dyslexia and narcissism. So I think with Owl, they kind of, I can't think of the word, they make dyslexia look fun. I think they're just making fun of it because an example they give of it is when Owl is trying to read the word school, he accidentally says skull. Yeah. So dyslexia is a difficult thing for people, so I don't think they should make fun of it as much as they do.
Yeah, definitely.
And it kind of becomes an issue.
Definitely.
So that was my thoughts on Winnie the Pooh, and I think some things they need to go back, rethink and redo in the way they show it.
Yeah, definitely.
So because there are so many young children who know Winnie the Pooh and they like watch it all the time.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
I had a book of it because I was a cool kid.
So, finally, well not finally,
Moving on, we're going to go on to Disney films now.
Woohoo!
Exciting. And the first one we're going to talk about is Elsa in Frozen.
Let it go, can't hold it back anymore. Sorry, I love Frozen.
Amazing.
My mum hates it as well, so it's great. The way to annoy her to just sing is really great.
Oh yeah, that's always the best thing to do.
I apologise for my really crappy singing, guys. That was really bad. I might cut that out.
I might leave it in just out of spite.
Okay.
But, I guess it's apparent when you watch Frozen that Elsa does have major depressive disorder. I'm going to try and say it right.
Well, yeah, because she was locked in a bedroom for years and years by herself, not being allowed to go outside or see anyone. I'm spoilers if you haven't seen the film. But
you should have by now.
Yeah, exactly. It's been out long enough. Second one's coming out soon. But, seriously.
Yeah.
What else is to be expected? You shut her away
that
for
can
years.
really, affect a person.
Especially because it happened when she was so young.
Yeah. But if you don't know what major depressive disorder is, according to the American Psychiatric Association, they have put it as it negatively affects how you feel and the way you think and how you act. Some
of the symptoms are feeling sad or having a depressed mood, loss of interest or pleasure in activities that you once enjoyed, loss of energy or increased fatigue, and feeling worthless or guilty.
So,
which is very similar. I would just say it's depression. It basically is. Yeah. But I think it's
a more extreme version of it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I think it's really clear when you look at Elsa that she has a lot of these symptoms. She seems to be really drained of any energy at all, and she feels really guilty about what she has done to her sister.
It's because the whole reason it started is because, she has these powers, she finds out about these powers, and, she's unable to control her emotions, which then obviously resulted in her hurting her sister, which, they were children. How's that gonna make you feel? It's not your everyday. Oh yeah, I hit my sister. It's she froze her sister, for God's sake, and nearly killed her.
Yeah.
So that's gonna have an effect on you, no matter how old you are.
Especially because then after that, her parents lock her in her room, so she becomes completely shut in from the world, and they start locking up the palace.
Yeah.
So she can never see anyone or do anything.
One thing that I found quite weird when we looked into this is actually a case of, yes, her parents were happy for her to lock herself away, but Elsa actually locked herself away in fear of what she'd done and in fear of the, monster with quotation marks around it that she was.
Yeah.
And then her parents were actually going off that, well, yeah, if she wants to do it, then let's let her do it because we don't want people to see what she's like, which then obviously led them to do what they did. And because of this, she loses interest in all the activities that she did with her sister, riding their bikes around the halls.
Yeah, and stop quoting songs,
I'm
woman.
sorry, the songs are really good. Or building snowmen.
I'm really stop.
I'm really sorry. Because, they had the power to just make snow in the middle of summer, which was great. And she struggles with, extreme guilt from the lack of control over her powers because, she's just been introduced to these and she doesn't really get the opportunity to learn how her powers work. She just goes, bam, you have powers, there you go.
Yeah, she's just kind of thrown into it with no help.
Yeah, and it's her low self-esteem because of all this that is then evident in her song, Let It Go. She expresses her need to get everything out and just to say, do you know what? I don't care what you say. I need to be me.
Yeah.
And if that means me going away and doing it, which is what she inevitably does, then that is what I'll do. And, it then leads to her sister going after her, like, no one cares, come back, I'll help you. And it just takes her getting through to her sister, nearly killing her again, to get through, and it works.
Yeah, and it's like, when she sings Let It Go, it's her kind of getting rid of the facade that she is okay, and that she does need help from people to stop blaming her for things, and then she needs to stop blaming herself for things as well.
Yeah.
So I think that was a really important message.
Definitely.
But at the same time, I don't think they should have showed as much of her parents putting her down for it as well.
Yeah.
Because they really did, like, they said, conceal it, don't feel it, don't let it show. So don't let it show that you have any problem with yourself, which is a really bad message to send to people.
It really is, I agree with you. And who's singing the lyrics now? Quoting lyrics. Sorry. But no, I agree with you in the fact that it shouldn't be that way. Because, it's one thing coming from yourself, like, I need to put myself away. But it's another thing from it coming from your parents and everyone around you.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree with that, yeah.
I feel it's a mixed message for someone who knows someone with depression or major depressive disorder, because you're never quite sure what to do. You don't know whether to kind of hide it from people that it's there, or to make light of it.
Yeah. And
make it a thing that needs to be brought forward that more people should know about.
Yeah.
So it just depends how you view it.
Okay. So, that was our take on Frozen. Sorry, guys, if we ruined the film for you. But moving on from that, we are going to look at Alice from Alice in Wonderland, because I looked at what the notes we had on it and I was like, you know what, this is actually kind of accurate. And I have another example of a TV show to go from, so this is really good. So the diagnosis from this is schizophrenia. And basically, schizophrenia is, it's a really serious, it's one of the higher level mental health conditions.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It interferes with a person's ability to think clearly, to manage their emotions, to make decisions, and then to relate and connect and basically socialise with everything around them and everyone around them. It is one of the ones up there, but it is also one that isn't necessarily easily controlled.
No, but definitely not.
It has, there's a lot out there to control it.
Oh, yeah, they've got a lot of, it's not a preferred term, but they have a lot of antipsychotics to kind of lessen the symptoms, and it kind of pulls you back into reality. But then people get addicted to those things, which can make things 100 times worse.
Definitely. And obviously in the film, throughout Alice in Wonderland, because, it's a couple films, she falls into this magical, mysterious land. She's seeing talking bunny rabbits and talking eggs and talking animals and really weird things, which normally would you associate with hallucinations, which is a condition, a symptom of schizophrenia, which I think is really good, because she also then asks, it's a bit of a shock to her. She's like, am I mad or something?
Yeah.
Which I think is good, because it shows maybe they're looking at it like from the perspective we are of a mental health condition, but then I think it's bad because you don't want to use the term mad or crazy.
No, like she says out loud, am I mad, or have I gone mad, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if you're saying that if someone has schizophrenia, that they are mad, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
And it's really poor portrayal.
So that's a poor portrayal, but then on the other side, it's a case of, at the end of the day, if you fell through something like that, you would go, hang on a minute, am I mad? Is this actually happening? Which I think, you've got to look at it from both sides.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Going from schizophrenia, I know another example of Waterloo Road. Waterloo Road is a television programme set in a British TV school. Obviously, it's fake, but it basically shows the lives of the teachers and pupils of Waterloo Road, which is one of the most troubled schools in Britain. Well, they all have, a school like that in every town and country and county and stuff in Britain and stuff like that. And it just represents what it's like. A lot of it necessarily isn't realistic, because you wouldn't get away with it, but I think that's what makes it good and eye-catching to watch. And in some of the later series, I'm sorry if I'm spoiling it for anyone, you have Tom Clarkson, who is, in my opinion, one of the best teachers out throughout there. He was one of the long-term, standing teachers and actors in it from day one. He was in it from day one up until the end of series 8, where he died, and I'm still not over that, but we won't talk about that. He, in I think it's seasons 5 or 6, they merge with another school where it becomes apparent that he actually has a son that he didn't know about. And once he finds out this is true, he actually starts bonding with the son. And later on in the series, when we know that they've got a good relationship between themselves, Josh goes in to do his exams. He's in his final year of school before his sixth form, and he starts to get affected. He works on a media project, which is quite ironic.
Yeah.
He works on a media project of creating like a short film, and they do it on like, I think it's a horror kind of base, because they're doing it, like ring a roses and stuff like that. And that's where it all starts to kick off, because he starts hearing stuff like that. He starts seeing some stuff.
Yeah.
And then he has a break, like in one of the fire alarm goes off. And, Josh hits it, and he keeps hitting it until he knows it's going off. Because at this point in the series, he's been made like a fire executive officer. He's one of those students, because he's one of the old people to get the young people out. He keeps hitting it, and then he runs off into the school, and, he's got blood in his hand. Like, his friends just saying, like, Josh, it's fine. Like, it's good. The fire alarm's off. You did it. Let's get out of here, mate.
Yeah.
And Josh just like, leave me alone and stuff. So he leaves blood in his friend. That friend obviously then runs outside. And he sees it, he's like, Finn, you alright, mate? Like, Tom.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's not my blood, it's Josh. He's gone crazy. Like, not literally like that. It's just the fact that, he's having a issue. And Tom's like, what? And obviously then runs in after his son, and he finds his son in one of the classrooms bleeding. And it's like, it's alright, mate, come on, let's get you out of here. That's just at one point, and they just put it down to, maybe he has something, but we don't want to believe he has something.
Yeah.
And, and then he ends up having... if in a few episodes later, I think it is, he sat in the exam hall. Might even be the same episode, I can't remember.
Yeah.
He sat in the exam hall, and he's struggling, and he goes out, like, he ends up walking out, and he's with his dad, and then they're having an argument about something, because, can't you see them? And it's like, it's linked back to the Ring of Ring Roses thing. It's like, can't you see them? Blah, blah, blah. See what? And then he ends up going to the hospital, where he's then obviously diagnosed with schizophrenia, and then you see him and his father, and, then later on his friends trying to deal with it, because at first Josh is like, I don't have schizophrenia, there's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
And later on throughout the series, because, they end up moving to Scotland to a different school and stuff like that, you see him actually, I do have it, there's nothing wrong with having it, it doesn't make me, well, it does make me different, but it's not making me different. And I think it's really good, because it doesn't just show that, oh, he's gone through this, he's fine, like, he's medicated, he's fine. It does go back to it, and I think that's really good, because it also shows how, like, Tom and his friends are dealing with his sons, and obviously then Josh's friends, how they're coping with it. Because it's not just about the person themselves, it's about the people around you. How, if I went up to you and said, I have schizophrenia, it's a bit like, whoa, what?
Yeah, it's a bit like, take a step back,
hold on a minute. And it's really good, because it doesn't just go, this happens, now he's fine. It's this happens, you see the build up to it, you see the, like, the major breakdown that screams, I need help, and then you see him come back, after taking some time off, he comes back, and his dad's like, you okay? And he's like, I'm fine. So his friend's like, you okay? And he's like, I'm fine, like, please don't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
I know what you're trying to do, but please don't. And I think that's really good, and it doesn't just overlook it, which I think is really good.
Yeah. Well, like, the thing I would say with that was, when you're talking about when he first had the break, it kind of seems like the show was fear-mongering, so it's kind of bringing in, like, if you see someone with schizophrenia, you're going to be scared because they're going to be freaking you out. Like, that's what I felt coming from you. I've never watched the show, so I couldn't tell you that's what it's actually like.
Yeah.
But that's what I got from what you were saying. Like, they were really trying to bring out that if someone has schizophrenia, you're going to be scared because they're being scary. They're going to freak you out, and if you try and do anything, it's going to end up wrong with you and with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, like, how true that is or not.
I think it kind of is true, because at the end of the day, like we said obviously earlier, people are more risk to themselves, but with conditions like schizophrenia and other conditions that are like it, you are a danger to others as well. If you get if you get in that state of mind, you are, because you're seeing things, you can't control your actions. So you've got to be careful how you deal with these people, because, if you go up to them and say, mate, it's okay, like, let me help you, and try touching them, they're going to lash out, like, no, I don't want you. Like, they see something, like, different to other people.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really careful how you deal with these things.
Definitely.
And Waterloo Road 100% did that, because, you know, his friend Finn went up to him like, mate, it's okay. And Josh was like, no, leave me alone. And then, like, you know, you see Finn going out talking to the teachers. And then you see, like, obviously when they, like, his dad finds Josh, like I said, in the classroom, you know, Josh is like, oh, I don't want to do this, you know, he's bleeding.
Yeah.
He won't really talk to his dad. He's kind of, like, zoned out of it. And his dad's trying to get through to him, and, like, you just see a teacher, like, his dad's really worried about him, like, see it. And then one of the other teachers that also went looking for Josh comes and sees him, and you just see Tom look up to that other teacher, like, with a really worried expression on his face, like, what is wrong with my son? Yeah. And that is so good to see. It's such a good show. Definitely recommend it, 100%. Also, going off recommending it, give it a chance. It is a bit... The first few episodes is like, what is this? It gets better throughout the seasons. Kind of goes downhill in the last season. But it gets better. So,
fair enough.
Give it a chance.
Yeah, like, I think another issue that they don't kind of pick up on with schizophrenia is that if that person who has it sees something and they think, because it's so real to them, they think it will harm you, they will try and get you away from them so that you don't get hurt by the process of what's happening in their head.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to pick up on schizophrenia because it's such an in your head thing that you can't see it. It's such an invisible disability that you can't see it.
Yeah, I agree.
And it can be really scary for someone, like whoever it can affect around them. So my final film that I want to pick up on, because I think it's a bit different and out there for Disney to have put this in a film. I cannot remember what year this came out, but it was about, would you say, 20, 30 years ago?
Yeah, definitely.
Something like that.
So we're going off the older one, not the new one, guys. So.
Yeah, we're going off the old one because that was the start of it. So we're going with Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
You and your singing.
I'm sorry.
And it's very apparent that she has Stockholm Syndrome, which, if you don't know what that is, it's where the victim of a capture or an elongated kidnapper, you could call it, abuser, so that person who was the victim of it becomes, like, as a safety mechanism, they become attracted to
attached to them. It's for their own survival. I think their survival kicks in. It's like, you know, there's no point in fighting this person because I'm in more danger trying to fight them than I am, you know, trying to just be with their friends and get on with it. Because at the end of the day, if you become not so much friends, with quotations around them, you know, it, the fact that you are then more likely to be able to actually get a chance to escape, because they're more trusting towards you. So it's like, if you fight against them, they're going to lock you up and stuff like that. But if you become friends as such with them, you know, they're going to be more trusting. You know, they might not, like, lock you up and stuff like that, which gives you better chances. So that, basically that sums up the condition.
Yeah, you build that relationship.
Yeah. Again, this is like Sesame Street. This is one I haven't actually seen.
Oh, so my goodness!
It's another, like, different views on it. So educate me, Jess.
So basically, as the story goes, Belle is looking for her father and finds he has been kidnapped by the Beast and offers to swap places. The Beast takes this offer straight away.
Okay. And
she gets... I don't know how they quite work this one, but she gets taken to an actual room, not just locked away.
Okay, right.
So it's almost as if he's trying to build the relationship, and then she follows on afterwards, and so they argue, of course, and then he saves her from a pack of wolves when she tries to run away.
Right.
And that's when the bond starts to be built.
Okay.
Because it's more of like, it's a survivalist bond, because she's like, oh, you've looked after me, maybe I can use that to look after. Yeah.
Okay.
And
sounds
like
good.
that bond then builds as they go through the film until it seems like they've fallen in love.
Oh, right, yeah.
And of course you have the famous song, and they dance, and after this, when the Beast dies, he comes back as a human being. She's still in love with him.
Yeah.
And you can't really read much into that, but
Yeah.
Not talking into everything else that's wrong with that situation.
Right, okay, so that's a good one. I mean, it's a very rare, well, not rare, it is rare.
It's quite rare because it's not talked about. No one ever wants to discuss it because it's so wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of it, but
yeah.
I've never really looked into what it is. So that's definitely really education. I just said educational.
You did.
It's educational.
So I think it's like a clear representation of it, but it's also weird how Disney have twisted it into a positive thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the right thing to do. I guess it was for a kids' film, but adults watching would know, like, actually, that's really, really wrong. You shouldn't be encouraging this behaviour.
Oh, definitely. From my understanding, from what you've told me, then I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was our final example. And so basically, overall, what we are trying to say is mental health is a big problem, like I started. It is such a big problem. It is worldwide, guys. And we have the power to do more than we are.
Oh, yeah. Especially with, like, the growth of social media and the internet now.
Definitely. I think if we could give advice, because obviously, you know, I don't really have that much experience, it's just a case of listening to people.
Talking to people who look like they're not okay.
Don't let people push you away, but then also don't push yourself into someone. Like, if you get what I mean by that. Don't disrespect people, like, don't talk about it in a bad way.
Don't be derogatory towards people who you know have a mental health issue.
Yeah.
Always try and include them if you think they're not being included enough as well.
It might be they turn around and say, do you know what, I don't want to be included, which is fair enough, but you can't isolate someone because, you know, they have a condition.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and then going on from that, you know, it is a big problem that we are now talking about more, which is a good thing. You know, we're in 2019, which is still really weird to say. We're in 2019 and it needs to get spoken about more. It needs to be spoken about more in a positive way, though. We need to be taking positive step forwards. And although TV and films are portraying it more and more, it is becoming more and more common. It's not more and more common in positive ways. Like we said, it needs to be less dramatic, less obvious, and more realistic. Definitely more realistic.
And they need to focus more on what the people around should do as well.
Yeah. Because
they always say the people around you are going to sideline themselves and not get involved.
You also need to focus on the bigger picture as well. Like, because they just say it, they just tend to do it where, like, you see them in the middle of a crisis and then you don't see the beginning or the outcome. You need to see it all to get, like, the good picture.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, TV, although there are a lot of shows that do it poorly, you're doing a good job.
You're getting there.
You're making it more aware to people. You're making it more acceptable. And you're making it so that it's more talked about.
And you've started that uphill climb to actually getting it to the right point.
Because although you do show things in a negative way, that also gets people talking.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because they want to talk about their thoughts on it.
Yep.
And not just like, oh, that was wrong. End of. It's like, oh, I think this and I think that, and they want to kind of discuss with people and find out their ideas and what was actually shown.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, overall, mental health needs to be spoken about more, but you need to be cautious. You need to be careful.
You need to change how it's shown on all media platforms.
It's not a bad thing. It doesn't make you different. It just makes you special. But we are all special in our own way.
Exactly.
We're all unique. So take that from everything we've said, that, you know, you're all unique in your own way. Don't let something you have change who you are, because you are beautiful, you are loved, you are kind, you are like an amazing person. Don't let anyone ever tell you differently.
Exactly.
Alright, so I'm Dharma.
I'm Jess.
And this has been our take on mental health.
And just before we go, we have a big thank you to the CC Smugglers. Our intro, outro and any music used in between is theirs. Our intro is How High, which is the name of their new album, will be released at the end of March. They are touring throughout April to advertise it. Thanks guys, you're amazing. Thanks for listening and we'll be back again soon.
See you later guys.
Bye.
We got legs to keep us dancing.